Following his £150 million move from Chelsea last year, Eden Hazard is recovering from his 8th injury setback at the Santiago Bernabeu. The 29-year-old has broken his foot, contracted the coronavirus, and has suffered a myriad of muscle issues. He's missed a total of 46 games, and the return Real Madrid expected from him has been below par to say the least. In Real Madrid's 2-0 win over Granada, Rodrigo had to be stretchered off. Eden Hazard was on the bench, but Zinedine Zidane preferred to give Marco Asensio the minutes. The Frenchman's excuse for not using Ederzinho against El Grana was that he wanted to use him against tough opponents. Hazard's situation is really making him live up to his other moniker of the forbidden fruit, the promised messiah Real Madrid fans cannot see in action. Los Blancos managed to claim their 34th La Liga title last campaign without much help from Hazard. They're still vying for pole position in the Spanish top flight. They're level with Atletico at the top of La Liga, but they've played 2 games more. Zidane has to repeat his heroics of last year. He'll need contributions from the Belgium, or so it seems. The dressing room can be in awe of his genius, but not the general public, who've seen him overweight and unable to deliver on the promise of fulfilling Cristiano Ronaldo's shoes. Zidane might be cautious about his most expensive squad member, who's proven to be the DeLorean of the football superstars. There were far too many expectations on his arrival. He's been decent in his limited performances, but breaks down far too often. If he's not the DeLorean, then it's difficult to find someone who is. Even Neymar Jr. manages to go long stretches before being back under the medic's supervision. Moreover, he's won everything there is to win with the French Giants. The Champions League evades Neymar at Parc des Princes, but it would have been secured had Manuel Neuer and Bayern Munich not stood in his way. Hazard cannot make the same claim. He's been looking inside from the bleachers as his teammates battle it out on the pitch. Hazard's year and a half in Spanish capital has seen him come out on the pitch a paltry 28 times, and only 19 of those have come in La Liga. He's made 6 competitive appearances this campaign, scoring 2 goals at an average of a goal every 315 minutes. Last year he finished the year with 22 appearances, his worst year since turning professional. The solitary goal and 7 assists do not befit his £150 million price tag. Real Madrid have paid £50 million per goal for his 3 goals. Adding insult to injury, the Bernabeu faithful have been made to wait 725 minutes on average for his strikes. The disgraced Gareth Bale had a better return in the white jersey, despite never being in Zidane's good graces and being forced out of the dressing room. However, Hazard has the confidence of Zidane and the good graces of Florentino Perez. He's their supposed saviour until Vinicius Jr. and Rodrigo come of age and Madrid start getting dividends on their bet. For the time being, it seems that the La Louvière native must wait for his chance. Zidane is not going to put him in deep water so soon again. He'll make sure that he's battle ready before being unleashed on their rivals. We need to do such things at the right time. I didn't want to risk him again. Now we rest, and little by little he'll return to the team. It will not be long before this will be a reality. His latest treatment cycle has proven to be beneficial, and he's raring to go. Hazard will be given a chance to prove his worth at the Bernabeu, and this is where the naysayers' comments come into the picture. There is no doubt about his qualities as a footballer. They were never in doubt, but it is everything else that's associated with him that raises suspicions about his success with Madrid. Los Blancos fans got their first glimpse of Hazard in the white jersey as an overweight version of himself. The injury he picked up in pre-season didn't help his cause. The dad bod he rocked in that unveiling ceremony has only worsened ever since. The Belgian has taken flack for this, but he can't do anything about it. Anyone who gets sidelined as often as he has will have weight troubles. You can't expect him to be in a prime state after every return. It's akin to making weight for a boxing match, only in this case, you're making weight 8 times. Moreover, the Belgian national team captain has never been known to be a great trainer. Chelsea legend John Terry was in awe of Hazard and hailed him as the most talented football he shared the dressing room with, but he also called him the worst trainer whom he'd played with. Terry believes that his heroics week in and week out at Stamford Bridge made up for his lack of intensity in training. This was a time when the Belgian was playing regularly and hadn't picked up a serious injury in his whole career. We're not living in the same timeline. Hazard has barely been on the pitch in the last year and a half. His minutes last season were the least ever since he graduated from Lille's B team and became a regular first-team player. That was 13 years ago. For the first time in his career, Hazard is battling injuries. This is a tall order for anyone, especially a professional footballer who's looking at his twilight years approaching him. After all, the Belgian turns 30 in the first week of January, and his shelf life as a top pro is coming to an end. This is the period where footballers start thinking about what lays ahead for them, and the retirement plans are set into motion. It must be at the top of Hazard's mind, all the while he looks to prove himself in his new adopted home. The task is made difficult given the fact that he's playing for the most decorated and ruthless team in world football. Real Madrid are the same team that discarded Cristiano Ronaldo after he led them to their third successive Champions League title. He was 33 then, but in much better physical conditioning than Hazard. Moreover, the Portuguese always delivered and never had a poor patch in the Spanish capital. This is the man Hazard was supposed to replace, but the shoes have been too big to fill. Real Madrid's success on the pitch has allowed him relaxation as a marquee signing, taking his time to live up to the expectations, but this situation won't continue for long. The Madrid sporting press and associated media is known for their ruthlessness. They've ended careers of players before they even began. Many have crumbled against their relentlessness. One needs to be mentally tough to succeed at Santiago Bernabeu, and Hazard needs to prove himself. He should go through the experiences of Fabio Coentrao and Royston Drenthe in the Spanish capital and use their tales as cautionary ones. As it stands, Hazard is in unfamiliar territory. He's been the go-to guy for the duration of his career. The tough Premier League bowed down to his genius, and supposedly all of this was managed without him giving his best in training. There is a caveat here. The Belgian needs to feel good to give his best. He was the undisputed star in Jose Mourinho's title-winning team, but in the next season he lost his mojo. Hazard was there, but he didn't seem to have the same desire. It proved to be an off-season, and the next season he was back to his best. Antonio Conte roused him from his slumber, and the Premier League again bowed to him. At Chelsea, Hazard was plan A, B, and C. It's an oversimplification, but one has to remember him as the main architect of their success. This is not the case at the Bernabeu. He shares the dressing room with World Cup and Champions League winners. The game is supposed to go through his feet, but that's only plan A. Zinedine Zidane has other plans up his sleeve, and for that, Hazard has to come off the pitch. This is not a situation the 29-year-old is used to. The move to Real Madrid was supposed to be the crowning moment of his career. He was arriving at the most decorated football club as their most expensive purchase. He was coming in to replace the most potent forward of their illustrious history. If the weight of £150 million price tag wasn't enough, replacing an idol would have been. Injuries are part of the game, but this many injuries are unthinkable. To top it all off, he's entering the last part of his career, so where does he go from here? Hazard is running out of time. He's been a shadow of his former self. He's failed to live up to his billing or even give a good account of his abilities. His time in the Spanish capital can only be called a bust, and that's being polite. However, circumstances are in his favour. This Real Madrid side has been in transition. It's moving on from the triumphs enjoyed with Cristiano Ronaldo at the peak of his powers, with able deputies in Karim Benzema, Luka Modric and Toni Kroos. Eden Hazard was supposed to be the link of this transition. It was his job to ensure that Madrid remains competitive before the next generation of superstars take over. While he struggled to live up to the expectations, the old guard have continued to shoulder the burden. Thanks to their efforts, the 34th La Liga title won last year at the expense of Barcelona was impressive. It looks unlikely that Los Blancos will be able to replicate the same feat this year. Atletico Madrid are in prime position to wrest control of the top honours in Spanish top-flight football this season. However, they will have to battle it out with their crosstown rivals for this. Zidane's men are not firing on all cylinders, but they are still competitive. The fight will still go down to the wire, and it will be the teams from Madrid where the power struggle will be held. If Hazard manages to help Los Blancos pip Simeone's men to the La Liga title, all doubts will be erased. But even if he's unable to force the issue this year, he will be given the opportunity next year. Real Madrid aren't going to dip into the transfer market again. The new stadium's construction and the financial impact of the pandemic has their hands tied. Due to this, the circumstances have allowed Eden Hazard something that high-profile failures have not been allowed at the Bernabeu. The Belgian will be given more time to prove himself, next year too, if this campaign doesn't go according to plan. However, it looks unlikely that the Belgian will be able to claim the same legendary status in Madrid that he had in London. Unfortunately, there's not enough competitions or time to force this issue in his favour.